My hero.
Am I a hero?
We're here to challenge your definition of a hero. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 10,000 Heroes, my favorite podcast. Nate, is it your favorite podcast?
Hands down. Well, yes. Let me think about it, definitely.
Great. Today, you did an interview I was really excited by. I was surprised by. It's with a gentleman named Mario Mercado, who...
He's a wrestler. He's a champion wrestler. Yeah. And as is revealed in the interview, I associate him with Renzo Gracie's school, which is a jiu-jitsu academy, a mixed martial arts academy here in New York. I always associate him with that school because he's one of their personal coaches to the Gracies to teach, from his angle, wrestling.
Yeah. And so on a superficial level, a lot of the conversation or half the conversation was about wrestling or martial arts. But what I really got out of it was a blow to all of my prejudices and preconceived notions about masculinity and martial arts. Because here's a guy who's, what he's advertising is wrestling or martial arts, but what he's really giving is just intense vulnerability and honesty. Yeah. And so for me, that was a masterclass in vulnerability. So thank you.
In this conversation and in his life, I'd say he really leads from that kind of radical openness.
Yeah. And I don't want to spoil too much about it, but one last note is that I was also very impressed with Mario's mother. And there are many points in that podcast where she kind of has these cameo moments when he's getting into opera, getting into wrestling, the whole Thanksgiving thing. And the whole time this thread for me was like, Mama Mercado is very, very impressive to me. So I want to just send some gratitude and some props in her direction, because I think she did an amazing job.
I'm sure she'll appreciate it.
All right, let's jump in.
But seriously, so I grew up in the Bronx, and I was a small kid. I was picked on a lot, and I was getting in trouble in school. And one day, I saw WWF, now WWE, on TV, and I said, I'd like to wrestle. And my mom, she goes, you know what, you need to wrestle because you're getting into fights all the time, you're getting into trouble. Go wrestle. And I was getting picked on a lot. So I was really young. I was like 8 or 9 years old when I started wrestling.
It's interesting because I think kind of nationwide, you don't typically see maybe this is wrong, maybe this is my impression. I wrestled in high school. Mm-hmm. And I remember there was a point, like my junior year, we were in AAA, which was the metro area, mm-hmm. for most of that time, and we dominated. And at a certain
which state was this, Nick?
Washington.
Okay.
Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, okay.
Roosevelt High School. And then we went to Quad A. And then all of a sudden, we were wrestling these corn-fed boys out in the stick. And it was a whole nother thing, man.
It was a whole nother level.
Washington, these guys had been wrestling since they were out there. They start wrestling at that age.
Like
8 years old, they're starting
like serious wrestling.
Serious, like their whole family wrestles. The whole town's there to watch the tournament. Like I could be lucky if I get my dad to come to a match.
But that's because they're wrestling cows.
Yeah, but so for you as a kid from the Bronx, is that like you wouldn't?
It was an anomaly because like from the Bronx, you would think that it's baseball, basketball, of course, because it's it's the Bronx, some football, but mostly baseball and basketball.
Yeah.
But because I went to. It's funny because wrestling is a cheap sport. All you need is a mat, shoes, T-shirt and shorts, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's really an inexpensive sport to participate in.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite easy for a team to have. It's just that you need the right coaching, or else you're just going to get crushed.
Yeah.
Because it's one-on-one. So because it's a one-on-one sport, it's actually very difficult to get a full squad there because people don't like to get beat up, no matter what age. So you have to be a little crazy at an early age to put yourself out there in front of your friends, your family, strangers, and go one-on-one in something that's almost like a street fight without the ability of having one of your players come in or one of your teammates to come in and rotate and sub. You can't do that in the middle of the match, So it takes a special mentality to really put yourself out there to want to do that. And then to lose and then come back the next day and then try all over again.
What would you say that mentality is?
It's weird because coming from the Bronx, everything is about, at the time, it was a gang times, everything is about, the gang mentality, or like even in basketball or other team sports, it's about, if I can't do it, I'll hand off the ball to my other teammate, or I'll feed off the energy of my other teammate, or if I'm tired, I'll just let somebody else do it. In wrestling, you just can't do that. So being from the Bronx, it's very, very hard at that time to see, what kind of person would do that, because it was like boxing. Boxing's the same. I think it just comes from maybe, I think like personal demons, I swear. To really be able to put yourself out there and just, not give a fuck, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's strange. It's not like tennis where you are imposing your will on a ball.
Yeah.
If you're playing one-on-one, you're imposing your will on the ball, not necessarily the player, but on the ball. In wrestling, you're imposing your will on another human being.
Yeah. How how would you say that not giving a fuck has served you over the course of your career?
It's gotten me good places and it's gotten me in bad places. And I say bad places because you just don't go with the flow. You don't accept what the status quo is. And it could be somewhat lonely, actually, because you just go by what you think is the right way that's best for you. And you don't go with how groupthink is.
There's something, it's funny because it's almost like you could say it's a character flaw. There's some little piece of like insanity that would take someone to be excellent at something. Like it takes some little gap of that not giving a fuck to kind of go against the crowd and do something actually original.
100%. Because like in wrestling, you have to lose weight, right? So your mom doesn't want you to lose weight because that means that she's making dinner for you and you can't eat her cooking. And it's like, what? Especially from, a Puerto Rican family. What? You're not having that. I just made dinner for you and you're telling me that you are willingly starving yourself? What are you, crazy? When I wrestled at Syracuse, I didn't have Thanksgiving dinner for 4 years because we had a tournament the next day. It was called Nat Towns at Lock Haven. And that tournament, for whatever reason, was always scheduled right after Thanksgiving. So I couldn't eat. And I remember, I would just stay at school because I didn't want to come home and get, influence to have turkey and stuffing and everything else. And I couldn't eat. But to willingly starve yourself, just to get on the scale for 2 seconds to say that you made this weight class.
Right.
It's crazy.
And then right after weight, you're trying to reconstitute.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, you're missing out on the stuffing and the apple pie and the turkey and everything else. To wrestle without the guarantee that you're going to win the match. You see?
Yeah.
And for me, that's really, I think, what prepared me to start my own business and to get into a startup and have that mentality, because there's no guarantee that you're going to succeed. But you have to be able to be willing to pay the price and to put all the naysayers out. And that's what wrestling was. Why are you wrestling? I can't believe you're wrestling again. You got too many injuries. Why are you doing this? At an early age, I was told this, because everyone is against you. It's funny in wrestling. My coach always told me this. Your opponent is against you.
Mm-hmm.
The referee is against you. The
Mm-hmm.
other team is against you. The fans are against you. Even your own coach is against you because he may not think that you can win, or he may give you the wrong advice or the wrong instruction, thinking he's giving you the right one. And your team may be against you because they may not believe that you could win because maybe you just had a bad match the week before, or you had a bad practice or something, or the guy that you're wrestling against is a national champion and on paper you shouldn't win. So
Mm-hmm.
all those factors are against you, but yet you still decide that you're going to go out there by yourself
Mm-hmm.
and try to accomplish what nobody else thinks you can do.
I've heard you say this, I think, other places, and I feel like this might be a core, sort of a first principle for you in how you navigate risk, or just a core mindset is that there's a sacrifice without that guarantee. You're gonna have to go without. I can't promise you on the other side you get the payoff.
Yeah. I told this to my team today.
Yeah.
I said, guys, look, you have to understand me. I take risks as an athlete. I said, you can always play it safe, but if you play it safe, you will never grow. You'll never know that maybe if you take a risk, you'll wind up pinning the guy in the first period with 10 seconds left because you did something that was risky, but the foundation was there. So the movement that you're doing may be risky, but you'll know how to navigate if it's not successful.
Mm-hmm. And these conversations you have to have with yourself. Like, do you have to push yourself into that corner every time? You're in, because it seems to me the natural inclination, at least I can see it myself, is entitlement. If I'm not super vigilant for that entitlement,
Yeah.
that's the tendency, right?
Yeah.
And and then in terms of running a team, would you say that's the same in terms of running a team and keeping people engaged in the project, keeping people moving forward?
Yeah, when I spoke to my coach, it wasn't my coach, but I coached with him at NYU, and Bruce Haberly, and he and I had this conversation a couple of nights ago, and I thanked him. I said, Coach, after all these years, I got to thank you because coaching for you was one of the best jobs and learning experiences I ever had. Because when I first got there, he brought me in the office one day and he goes, look, you have great technique, but the guy's going to kill you. We're going to have a coup on our hands. And I go, what? He goes, because you can't coach them how you want to receive the information. You have to coach them as to how they're going to receive the information in order to get the effect or the outcome that you want. And it was a longer conversation, but I thought about it and I was like, it's true, because then you have to manage the psychology of your team,
Right.
According to each person,
Right.
because you can't, because in an individual sport, right, each person is on the mat. In wrestling, each person's on the mat. So after one match is over, then you have to go to the next guy. And after that match is over, then you go to the next guy and down the line. And each person is motivated differently. One person gets motivated by saying, you know what, come on, you suck. Let's go. And the guy will say, you know what, I don't suck. I'm going to show you I don't suck, and go out there. You say the same thing to the next guy, he can fold because it's not how he receives the information, and it's not positive reinforcement for him. So you have to understand how to get the outcome that you want based on the personality of it. So with my team, I had to apply that same skill set to them. I can talk to one guy differently, talk to another guy differently, and then, because they're just come from different backgrounds. It was the best experience that I could actually get. Some people need to be stroked in order to come on, you're good, you're the best, and then they'll continue. And some people, you just leave them alone and they fly, they shine, you
Have you
know?
heard this saying, the meaning of the communications, what's understood, not what was meant?
Yeah,
To me, that's so profound because like it hints at the type of respect that's required to communicate something to another person.
yeah,
And that you're gonna go like the extra mile to put it in their terms.
yeah,
It seems like when results are on the line, that's a necessity.
yeah,
We don't necessarily have extend that same courtesy in our relationships.
yeah,
But when results are on the line, you're forced to find a way to get that outcome out of that athlete or that team member.
yeah,
Yeah. What was the
yeah.
jump?
I agree with
Yeah. What was the jump from, I'm curious, from high school? For me, when I when I was looking at like the potential of going like college wrestling from high school wrestling looked like another galaxy for me.
you. Yeah,
And I knew that it wasn't a galaxy I was interested in. I wanted Thanksgiving dinner. I wanted to, enjoy.
I wanted to get out of it. So I wasn't very close, with my parents, and I just wanted because there was a lot of fighting in the house and everything else, and I just wanted to get out of there.
Hmm.
Um, and wrestling for me was my yoga. It was my therapy
Mm.
because it was around people that I genuinely loved. Actually, it's like it was a real family for me.
Mm.
So being at a place in the city called the New York Athletic Club, it's actually the most successful private club in the world. It has over 170 something Olympic gold medals. And they have a famous wrestling program there. And every Tuesday, Thursday, they have wrestling practice. And there I was able to consistently, especially during the summer, consistently train with college and international guys. And even though I would get my ass kicked, but it groomed me to know that this was the level that I was going to experience when I got to college, because they had a lot of international guys come in there.
Yeah.
And it was funny. So the room, it wasn't a very big room, but it was one big red mat, and they had a circle. So in order for you to wrestle in the circle, you had to be good and be invited. If you were not invited to go into the circle, they would throw you out and put you back. So you'd have to wrestle on the corners. And then slowly, for me, I was slowly invited to wrestle in the center of the mat. And then I knew I belonged. So when I felt I belonged, it gave me the confidence that I could, that I wouldn't, that galaxy that you mentioned wouldn't be so far.
Hmm. How important is that to find the right room and hang out in the corners like that, just to be in the blast radius of these other. I mean, I can imagine any domain in music, or in comedy or something, someone just sitting to the side of the stage and just listening.
Yeah,
I was how important in your
it's
journey has
exactly
that
that.
been to just be around the right people?
It's so important because it doesn't matter if it's music or art or sports or business. It's the quality of the people that rubs off on you because it makes the conversations more more substantive. It allows you to grow intellectually. It allows you to grow internally, spiritually. Even just sitting around and looking and being invited to just be there, as opposed to being on the outside of a club trying to get in. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
You know?
I do.
So once you're in the club, you've won more than half the battle. But if you're outside, still trying to talk to the door guy to let you go through the velvet rope,
It's not going to work for you.
it's not going to work for you. You're with everybody else.
My experience, you Mario, is that you're incredible. Like even just kind of doing a little research on you to prepare for this conversation is just I'm just struck by how atypical you are. You said use the word anomaly, but I would say first you could say that from the Bronx. And then you could say as a jock, you're not exactly the typical jock. You enjoy opera, you're an intellectual,
Oh, I love it. Love it.
philosophy. So what is it that keeps you reaching outside? I think there's also you could easily, even in these circles of excellence that you walk in, to just be
Definitely.
comfortable there. Why look outside that circle? Why go beyond?
So we're going to get a little personal here. So I was sexually molested a couple of times when I was a kid, and it actually cut my voice
Hmm.
because I couldn't speak out. I was a small kid.
Hmm.
So because it really took my voice away,
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons why I kept getting into trouble.
Hmm.
And when I realized that I did not have to be stuck in this, in this nightmare of what happened to me, um, I probably it probably motivated me just to continue to be curious and to surround myself with with people that I wanted to associate myself with, as opposed to be stuck in the in a shadow of like, fuck, this is what happened to me, and I have every excuse to to not do something with my life. And
Hmm.
wrestling gave me that escape. Wrestling allowed me to understand what it is to be a man, not a man in the sense of gender, but a man in sense of control my destiny, or
Hmm.
at least and control my destiny, not of winning and losing,
Hmm.
but at least being able to have my voice. You win, you lose, okay, fine, but at least I gave it my all. And then from there, um, wrestling just allowed me to see the world, and to just be, I mean, without wrestling, I would not do what I'd be doing today.
Hmm.
And it gave me also, and what happened to me when I was a kid gave me an appreciation of of trying to understand, to be more empathetic,
Hmm.
and to be a bit more sensitive, actually, you know? Um, because it's funny, when I wrestled, I'll tell you how I got into opera. So I got into opera because I got in trouble at school for fighting. My parents went out to go to the nursery to get some flowers, for the gardening, whatever. And my mom had taken away the remote control, and she goes, "You can't watch TV. You're going to be grounded if and I'll know if you watch it." And she took the remote control from with her. And when they left, I put on the television, and the first thing that came on was PBS. But I knew that at the time, if I touched the television channel, all the channels would screw up, and I couldn't fix it unless you had the remote control. So it came on, and then I saw the three tenors sing, and I saw Luciano Pavarotti, and could not believe that a guy, like this, had a voice like that and could transcend and make the entire audience silent. And then how beautiful this voice was. So when my parents came back, my mom, I didn't realize she was there. She goes, "Did you like it?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Good. You're grounded for another month." So I went to Tower Records and I bought as many cassettes and CDs of the three tenors, but particularly of Pavarotti. And then when I went to college, because this was my senior year of high school. So when I went to Syracuse, I brought this music. So you would have guys from Ohio, Texas, Pennsylvania, a bunch of hillbillies, and they would play Black Sabbath and all this death metal music in the wrestling room. And here I am, I'm playing Pavarotti at 6 o'clock in the morning. And they go, who the fuck is this guy from the Bronx playing this shit? Right? So, and then years after, I got an opportunity to work as a stagehand at the Metropolitan Opera House, which to me, that was the best job I ever had. It's actually the most hardest job ever, because you have to build these massive sets. Yeah. But I got to meet these guys, and then during dress rehearsal, I would sit there and watch. It was unbelievable. And to this day, I go to the opera on a regular basis.
There's something so poignant, man. It brings a tear to my eye to think of the context that you just shared, what you were dealing with as a young man, and in that struggle, in that pain, in the circumstance, and to have this high sea of Pavarotti penetrating into this apartment in the Bronx.
The man.
What did that make you feel? What's the emotion that what did it touch in you, and what sustains in that note?
For Pavarotti, it was the look, because the guy looks like a bear. He's got the beard, the thing, and it's big,
Yeah.
And he looked like, you look at him and like you have, like, if you look at Pavarotti compared to like Mario Lanza, totally two different guys. Mm-hmm. Lanza was, he had the beautiful hair. He was a Hollywood star, Pavarotti ain't, and to me it's like, wow, this is a guy. His music, beautiful voice, but he's like a guy, has a sensitive side, but the voice that just jumped out of his mouth, that sound. You listen to that, and it's absolutely beautiful. I can't explain it, but it's absolutely beautiful, beautiful sound. I don't like everybody, but this guy he was the man.
Yeah. You said something else that I think is poignant, or at least timely. I think there's enough people saying that we have a crisis of manhood.
Yeah.
I think I know what that means. I think it probably has a lot of implications for a lot of different, shows up for men differently.
Yeah.
I know each man has to find their way to it.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a whole nother conversation about what gender even is.
Yeah.
But for you, when you said that, it was very clear. It was almost more of an energy.
Yeah.
What it means to be a man, or what this masculine force represents to you. And
yeah.
I think that's incredibly personal. I wonder if you could speak to that a little bit, and what you think people might mean when they say a crisis of masculinity, or what might be missing for a lot of men who don't have maybe the role models to initiate them into that.
Yeah.
Into that, yeah.
Well, I want to start off by telling you a funny opera story.
Please.
So Henzo had called me one day. Henzo Gracie.
And
Henzo is like a brother to me. I've known him for 20 years, and he's like, they consider him a man's man, right? So Henzo called me and goes, Mario, my man, I got into a fight with my wife, Christina. He goes, I got to get 2 tickets to go see Aida. Can you hook me up? I'm like, sure, no problem. So I get him 2 tickets. I go, Henzo, the tickets are waiting for you. I will call. Where? At Lincoln Center. You sure? Yes. Go there. You sure? Yes, Henzo. They're fucking there for you, these tickets for Aida. He goes, okay. So he gets there, gets the tickets. Not even 5 minutes into the concert, I get a call. Mario, Henzo, you like the concert? What the fuck is this shit? What? You said you wanted to go see Aida. I wanted to go see Elton John Aida, not fucking opera Aida. He goes, I'm stuck here for 3 hours. He goes, I'm stuck here now for 3 hours. I got horses singing, la 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 la. He goes, where's Elton John? He goes, now my wife is looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, I was asking a lot from Henzo.
So yeah. And that leads into the question of you know, so it's difficult because being gay is very difficult in this world, right?
Mhm.
And I think that it's, in my opinion, it's about trying to find a group to fit in
Mhm.
because you don't fit.
Hmm.
It's very, very difficult.
Mhm.
For example, I tell you, so I went to grad school at Columbia, and I had to do a thesis, and it was a paper called The Third Man. I had to read and write an essay about, and it was about how a lot of Hispanics, particularly from South America,
Mhm.
that in certain instances that they identify on the census as themselves as being Caucasian than being black, even though some of them have black blood in them or
Mhm.
genes,
Mhm.
because they don't want to be racially profiled and have the same inequality as the African American.
Mhm.
But when it comes to getting social benefits from the US, they will identify more as Hispanic slash black
Mhm.
to fit in.
Mhm.
If you look at here, you know, the majority of the gay community find it, and I say gay, I'm talking about men particularly, find it difficult to assimilate into a heterosexual world. The
Mhm.
conversations are different.
Mhm.
It just is, you know, they have to speak differently, act differently to assimilate.
Mhm.
And when they and when there's a and when because it's so difficult, it's really tough. It's really, really difficult to do that. So now it's, you know, you have this really sensitive thing because they're trying to, I think, in my opinion, it's now trying to find a community to belong to in which one can be yourself. You can be yourself without judgment, without being viewed as different.
Mhm.
And I think there's an overboard because recently, you know, you may know with this whole Superman thing. I think it's pretty dumb to have a gay Superman when
Mhm.
you could easily just make a new superhero.
Mhm.
You know, don't change the identity. Just say this is the identity of this particular person.
Mhm.
In this case, you know, Superman. But there are no heroes
Mhm.
because there is a lack of seriousness in the conversation and in the discourse.
Mhm.
You know, if you look at past civil rights, where are the Baldwins of today? Where are the Martin Luther King Jr.'s of today?
Mhm.
Where are the John F. Kennedys of today?
Mhm.
Where conversations of substance was more important than having a 122 character conversation on Twitter.
Mhm.
And when you don't have conversations, then you just get lopped into these small little things, and then your voice becomes amplified without truly understanding the issues that are there. And then people just, to
Mhm.
me, that's a lack of heroes, is just this lack of conversation, like true conversation.
Mhm.
And you know, I do think about it actually, myself, um, because you know, it's really tearing a lot of part of the society apart. It's really tragic actually, and I would hope that there was a superhero mentality. You know, that there's a book that Henzo is actually, he was interviewed for, and it's about this issue of heroism. And for me, you know, and they interviewed me, they asked me, you know, in your opinion, how do you value a man? And I said, you value a man by the family he has, the friends he's made, the contributions he makes, and the deeds he does.
Hmm.
Everything else is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that is how you value a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the family that he loves. Look at the friends that he has. Look at the deeds that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the contributions to society that he makes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. You covered a lot of ground there. Covered a lot of ground, Mario. I want to try to go back and
Yeah, I think
some
about
of it
this.
up because I don't know if you know this. I don't think I even bothered to put it in this context. But the name of this podcast is 10,000 Heroes, in a great part, that's part of the process of discovery here and why you're on the show. In a sense, part of the project is to kind of uncouple the idea of a superhero and open our eyes and start to identify some of the heroes that we have access to, kind of that we can stand shoulder to shoulder with. So I think it's interesting you took it there sort of organically. What is a man to you? And what might be a beacon of manhood? How do you identify? Certainly Henzo's been a good influence and role model. I'm sure you had many in that community. You also spoke about communities, the gay community.
Yeah.
How and identity, how someone looks to others to find that reflection and find themselves where they are,
Yeah.
and be able to be themselves. So how important is, I wonder, for you, identity, and how you, in terms of community or in terms of social activism, or what you represent to the world, what you represent in the world, or is that something that you prefer not to be burdened with?
So it depends on where a person is in his or her life.
Yeah.
I tell my team all the time that the only thing that we can do is give the best of our talents to contribute to make something as best as we can.
Mm-hmm.
It's not up to us to determine if our contributions are going to make an impact on a person.
Mm-hmm.
That's for the receiver to tell us, because we have no idea.
Mm.
It would be egotistical for us to say, yeah, we made an impact. No, we don't know. We can only make a contribution.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you loan me $5, you may think that $5 is just, chump change to you and you just deal with it and that's whatever. But what happens if that $5 is what I need to eat for the day, for the week?
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea. You just know that you were in a position to loan me $5.
Mm.
And then what happens if I come back a year later or a week later and say, you know what, Nate, man, that $5 you gave me allowed me to feed myself for a week because I had a startup and I couldn't eat and I had to do this and that and that really. And then I'm telling you how you made an impact on my life.
Mm-hmm.
You just made a contribution to my life.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, all I can do is make a contribution as best as I can, with as much integrity as I can, without any expectation.
Mm.
And I learned that from my friends. And I learned that really from wrestling. I have no idea at the end of the day if I'm going to win or not.
Mm.
I could be in the best shape possible. I could twist my ankle and I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Break my leg and I get pinned, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I can just be as prepared as I can, as much as I can. And where I am is that I can't It's not that I can't. It's just that I'm not prepared yet. I'm not ready yet
Mm,
to be at that level of activism.
mm,
As a gay guy,
mm-hmm,
because it affects. Because I'm not at the level yet to where it won't affect me
mm,
and the people that I'm with, because it's reality. It's the real world.
mm-hmm,
Which is why one of the reasons why, with the guys I've coached and everything else, you just don't, because it's selfish and because it affects them. So you just have to live in the reality of how things work.
mm,
And yeah, it's a cat and mouse, it's a give and take. You got to figure things out, but it's life, and life is not, I won't say life is not fair, because life is not always what we want it to be,
mm,
because we can't control every aspect of life. We can try to say that we do, but we don't. Because if we did, we would live forever and still stay young as fresh as we want to be. We would never grow old, never have diabetes, never have a bad back, so we can't control it.
mm-hmm,
We can just live it as best as we can. And some people can either take the next step to, to be activists, but they don't always have to be an activist outwardly.
mm-hmm,
You can be an activist by being a good person.
mm-hmm,
You can be an activist by being successful at what you do and saying, you know what, just because you are this color or this gender or this ethnicity doesn't mean that it can hold you back. You can just, be a role model by example. That's one of the things that we loved about Derek Jeter. He was not a vocal leader for the New York Yankees.
mm-hmm,
They called him the quiet captain because he led by example.
mm-hmm,
Other guys like Reggie Jackson was wild and crazy and outspoken, but that was his way.
mm,
Even though not everyone was able to think of him as a role model or as a leader, just the way not everyone thought that Derek Jeter was a leader, because they have different expectations of what a leader should be.
mm,
So you go to who you think, speaks to you.
mm,
So if I can be, if I just do my thing and act with integrity, again, it's my contribution to life, to my fellow man, to my friends, to my family. And if I happen to, and if that's what I can be, as to show a person what is a man, or show my level of activism, that's what I can do. Now, the one thing that a person can't do, but again, it depends on the circumstances, is shy away from the responsibility that they have
mm,
in order to protect something, because we're all going to die someday. We're all going to lose something someday. And that's selfishness, because we don't live on this planet alone. So if you shy away from your responsibility, then that's no good, because, they always say, life is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift to God.
mm. There's some, I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong. Someone sent me a quote from the Talmud, and it's something like, this isn't your work to complete,
Yeah.
nor is it yours to abandon.
Yeah.
It reminds me, what you're saying reminded me of that instantly. There's a certain humility in it.
Yeah.
Say, just in the openness of just, man, I mean, the complexity and sensitivity to navigate all these different spheres in your life.
Yeah.
And at the same time, come to this acceptance of yourself.
Yeah.
And just say who you are in this world. That's an activism. That's an act.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's
but it's hard
act.
because in some places,
Yeah.
Death is the reward.
Yeah.
No, but for them it's the reward.
Oh, right.
Here it's but for you it's the consequence.
Yeah.
So, but it's, again, it's life. And that's why for me, it's never, I'm not thankful to God.
Hmm.
I'm rather blessed.
Okay.
I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful because I think it's only when a person, for me, when a person says, oh, I'm so blessed to be here.
Yeah.
What about the person
Yeah.
in Afghanistan who's getting kicked by the Taliban?
Where did you pick this up from? Because my mom broke us down at dinner when we went home to visit last year and said the same thing.
No,
We
it's
were
true.
like
Like,
saying a prayer, and she, no, but we're not blessed.
we're
Blessed.
not blessed.
There's something special about us that we have this meal. We're privileged and fortunate.
Just be grateful that you're here. Just
Yeah.
be grateful that you have this opportunity. But you're
Right.
not blessed because why is your life more blessed than mine?
Yeah.
You know? And it's not. It's just that I am grateful for this, for being in this particular opportunity, having this particular life that I had no control that I would even be here.
Yeah.
Zero, zero. So be grateful, but don't have the hubris to say that I'm blessed.
It's my father would said that for years, but he did it in his kind of cryptic way. He never
Yeah,
like took the time, and I didn't
yeah,
get it.
yeah,
I just thought it was him because he just has a like a lot of people that grew up in the Catholic Church, a lot of Latinos that grew up in the Catholic
yeah,
Church and went the other way, just has a
yeah,
whole like he just has a block. He's not trying to hear
yeah,
anything
yeah,
religious or even spiritual. And so I just took it as that. But when I
yeah.
heard my mom and now hearing you say this, it's it's profound, man.
Well, ask
To
yourself.
accept what's given,
Yeah.
but to yeah,
I
ask
mean,
yourself what.
should we be blessed that you got? Should we be blessed that we can't eat for a week? Should we be blessed that um I got hit by a car? No, I'm grateful that I survived the car crash
Yeah. That's right.
to live another day. I'm grateful for that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't blessed. You know,
Right.
um, if I'm in a plane crash and the guy next to me dies, but I got away okay, am I blessed? No, I'm grateful
Yeah.
that I'm okay.
Yeah.
So, it's really important, because even when I coach the guys, and I said, man, just be grateful that you are here and able to show your skills that you have and that you're given the opportunity to wrestle here. But you're not blessed. You're not blessed that you won the fight.
Yeah.
You should be grateful that the outcome came. That you should be grateful that you put yourself in the position to win the fight.
Hmm. What what was it like coming from wrestling to jujitsu?
I hated it
Yeah,
because
it's a whole
because
different game,
dude,
first of all. But you came to love it.
I came to love it very late,
Okay.
because very late. So, having coached Tenzo, the family, Hyan, Hoist, Hyan, Half, Hajar, Igor, Gregor, Haydn, all these guys,
So it just these are all Gracies, just for the benefit of
all
the
Gracies.
listener. And just this is the family that brought Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
Yeah.
um, to the
Yeah.
States.
The
You're
Gracies are to fighting,
responsible for the UFC.
dude, the
Um,
Gracies are to fighting what the Kennedys are to politics.
yeah, and Henzo, one of the best among them, champion fighter, and has a very successful school in Midtown Manhattan.
I can't say enough beautiful things about him. He is, yeah. He's, so I'll go to your first question about the jiu-jitsu part. So I had coached them, Henzo and the guys, back in 2001, and we just got along. Like Henzo and I first met at a. So I had coached Sean Alvarez, Henzo's black belt,
Right.
and he was the bodyguard to the one of the sheiks in Abu Dhabi, Prince, and he was getting ready for this fight against this guy called Cabbage. And Sean had an academy up in New Rochelle, and it asked me to be part of the seminar, and that Renzo was going to come up. And I knew of Renzo because I watched him, of course, fight when I was in school, in college. So it was an honor for me to meet him. And of course, Renzo, was an hour, almost 2 hours late, right? So we get there and we hit it off immediately. And Renzo goes, we're going to be brothers. And he's 10 years older than I am. And from that point on, we became stuck at the hip. So I would teach him wrestling, and I got him and the family ready for fighting through wrestling and everything else. And I put them through what's called hostage practice by taking the clock out of the room and just making him go and train him in Hodger. He won his ADCC tournament and tapped everybody out. And it was beautiful because years later, Hodger came to me. We were at the Tao club in the city. And he goes, I never told you this, but I won ADCC because of you. But still, I didn't train jiu-jitsu, right? I'm still going wrestling. And I didn't really seriously take up jiu-jitsu until February of 2021. Okay. So yeah, I've been a blue belt forever. So it was a running joke at the academy. But these guys never wanted to train me, keeping the secrets to themselves and then asking me for wrestling knowledge. And I go, this is bullshit. This is fucked up. So, but then the gi came, and then, because the gi was the worst condom I ever put on in my life. Most comfortable thing. So then I started with the gi, but I love it now. I mean, it is beautiful. I mean, I love jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Love jiu-jitsu.
But that's newfound. It just came to that.
I would do it on and off because why? I tell you. So the guys who are teaching now, they were all young back then. So back then it was all party time. Igor, Gregor, Hollis, and those guys. So they were in their early 20s. No family. Being Brazilian at that time was the new cool thing, and then fighting, so these guys were celebrities getting into all over the place. So teaching for them, and they were just starting to learn how to teach.
Mm-hmm.
So for them, it wasn't as important as it is to them now because they're older. They understand how jiu-jitsu has made such an impact on people. Before, they didn't understand it until people were telling them, jiu-jitsu is really changing my life. And they really didn't understand that until the past few years. And now that they have families, but now that they have their own academies, they truly see that jiu-jitsu is actually changing people's lives in the way that wrestling changed my life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now they impart that same energy into teaching, which I'm so grateful for because that's how I taught them. That's how I coached them. Because I knew that what they wanted to learn from wrestling, why they needed it, and what it was going to do for them. And they're teaching the same way as to understanding why people are doing jiu-jitsu. And it's not just to learn a submission. It's really to be more confident, and learn how to use your body and a place of family, which is what Brazilian Gracie Jiu-Jitsu really is all about. It's about this whole family. And they've learned that. And as a result, it's completely changed the way that they teach jiu-jitsu and the type of instructors that they bring in to carry on that same message. And that's why I fall in love with jiu-jitsu now, as opposed to back then.
I'm going to make a pretty radical jump. I want to make sure that we talk about Batois.
Yeah. So Batois, we are a sports wearable device and digital media sports tech company. And the reason why that we chose the name Batois, because in French, it means fight to overcome. And my buddy Jean-Francois, because he knows that I love the French culture. He said, Mario, you should call it Batois, because it was a famous saying from Napoleon.
Okay.
He would say, allons-y, batwa, let's go, guys. We have to fight. We have to win.
Okay.
But it wasn't winning literally. It's a figurative. The French are always talking in these dramatic extremes.
Yeah.
But we chose batwa because it could be meaning to overcome anything that you want it to be.
Yeah.
So that's why we chose that name. And then the helmet came about as a result of a grad school project.
Uh-huh. Your grad
Um,
school project.
yeah, it was mine. And then we won this tech competition for initially the first design of the helmet, which is named after me, the Mercado. And initially it was for wrestling, but then we found out that athletes from other sports wanted to wear it for flag football, rugby, 7-on-7 and things like that. And I always wanted to make it better. So two of my advisors from Columbia, they're two professors, they had advised me that they were making a miniaturized EEG sensor and that we should collaborate on this so that it gets integrated inside the helmet so that when you're training, it can monitor your brain waves in real time to tell you objectively if you've gotten a concussion, which is extremely important in combat sports, whether it's wrestling, MMA, whatever.
First of all, we're gonna link the Batois in the show notes so people can go see. It's beautiful. When you look at this thing, it's like we're in Tron. We're in the future now. The fact that I don't have a hoverboard from Back to the Future, that's all I've been waiting for my whole life. And I was sure that I wouldn't. I'm not living into the future until I'm riding a hoverboard. But the shit that I'm seeing on your website, it's really far out, man. And I imagine you said the monitoring that happens. It's in terms of the concussion.
Yeah.
That same technology can be used for performance, for monitoring performance.
We're working with the military. Yesterday, we just got a solicitation from the military.
Yeah.
That they want us to have this retrofitted and 1.2 million combat sports helmets for them.
That's a good call to receive.
It was with our partner. Like I got the email yesterday and it's a 3-year thing and it's really cool. And, all the hard work and the team was just really happy, it was just really happy to know that all the struggle was well worth it. But go ahead.
Mario, I think that's important. And I guess I could just to try to put a little bit of a theme to this talk, and sort of the way you've oriented your whole life. What you were saying is taking risks. There's no guarantee, but the reward is very high. And it's. I guess we're kind of all arriving at this point where we're going to have to make some decisions like that and make choices with that same sort of heroic effort or ethic in order to navigate these spaces.
Yeah, because it's easy to be complacent because things are easy.
Yeah. And
sometimes, we shy because we think that things are just too complicated to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But, as we talked about earlier, our grandmothers now are using iPhones more than we are.
That's right. Mario, thank you so much for your time, man. This is a great conversation and wish you the best of luck. All right, that's our podcast for the day. Thank you everybody so much for listening. And thank you, Mario, for what Encore pointed out in the beginning of this episode was really an amazing display of vulnerability and honesty. I truly, truly appreciate it in this conversation. And everyone, please do go check out, at least avail yourself of the opportunity to feast your eyes upon this product that's so beautiful and so advanced and still trips me out. It's called Batois, and we'll put the link in the show notes. This is Mario's helmet that he's developed. And please do check out his new platform. It's a new project called DigiYo, DIGIYO. It's a new NFT platform that's connected to this helmet and connected to other things that he's doing in athletics. Really cool stuff that he's investigating there. Go check him out. Links will be in the show notes. And thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.